Audio check 1 2 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are here for round 5 of the Touring Car Championship, our British Touring Car Championship, season 13 on Project Cars 2 altogether. I think it's about the 10th season of the Touring Cars or something like that. And we are here tonight at Donington Park on the National Circuit. Last season we raced on the GP loop, but this time around we're on the National Circuit for what should be a great night here. The National Circuit's always close and tight and action-packed, so hopefully we'll be having similar to what we've seen in past seasons. We've got 15 drivers on the grid here tonight, which is great, a good turnout. Missing Connor, who unfortunately couldn't make it. Also Charlie Goff couldn't make it either. And Belito's pulled out of the championship, but we have got 3 reserves jumping in tonight, and that is why we've got obviously a reasonably filled out grid as well. So we've obviously got RJ Dale filling in, we've got Big Blue jumping in as well, and the other reserve jumping in for tonight is Smoky Devil. So yeah, 3 drivers jumping in who wouldn't normally be here, so that's obviously great to see. But coming into tonight, obviously this is round 5 of the season, so we're past the halfway mark here tonight. It's an 8-round season, 3 races per round, and tonight is races 13, 14 and 15 of a 24 race season. So we're getting into the thick of it now, and after tonight we'll be very much in the business end of the season. But I'm going to quickly go through the championship standings coming into tonight. So it is John Boy who leads the way in the championship. He sits on 429 points. He's a 2-time champion of the touring cars as well here at Motive. He leads by quite a long way actually over Cobb, who's 57 points behind on 372 points in second in the championship, followed by Captain Harlock, who sits third on 364 in third. Then you've got Jay, the former champion of the touring cars from 3 seasons ago, who sits on 352 points in 4th place. He is 77 points off of the championship leader John Boy. Then you've got Nick the Villa sat in 5th on 331 points, followed by the Mutts Nuts, who's in 6th on 314. You've got Aussie Albie in 7th on 291. Craig sits in 8th on 283, followed by Team MW, who is 9th in the standings on 256. Decent showing for his debut season. Charlie Goff not here tonight on 231 in 10th in the standings. We've got Park Pooper in 11th in the championship on 200 points exactly. Thoris Deer sits in 12th on 149 points. Revolt Dieter, they're not here tonight, sits on 87 points in 30th. Connor in 14th in the standings on 63 points. Day 666 also not here tonight, in 15th in the standings on 54 points. And Belito on 30 points in 16th. And it looks like we're about to go here. We're coming out of the last corner, so we're about to go racing for the first race of the night here at Donington. And Big Blue's had to go ahead because he obviously jumped the start, so he's got going again as they now coming down the start finish straight for the first time. And there is Big Blue, there's Thoris Deer. You see Big Blue on the exit of the pits just coming out now as we come into red gates for the first time, and no position changes. Looks like we're all holding firm right now. Mike Gaming doing his first ever appearance actually in the Mercedes tonight, so that's going to be interesting to see how he can get on as we see RJ Dale running a bit wide coming through turn 1. He's got Big Blue already on the back of him, and Smoky Devil has not had the start at all. He's down to the back, but Thoris Deer leading the way coming out of the Craner curves and through the old hairpin and up towards the top end of the circuit. You've got Park Pooper X and Team MW side by side. Park Pooper's done that one on Team MW up into 2nd place, so he's got that move done. You can see Craig there on the back of Team MW as well. You've got the Mutts Nuts trying to hassle Aussie Albie as they're all filing through this section. You can see there's a bit of a gap back to RJ Dale and Smokey, who seems to have fallen off for the rest of the pack in the first few corners of this opening lap. But Thoris Deer's opened up a bit of a gap here out the front. He's got over a second over Park Pooper X. So Thoris Deer looking in control of this race at the moment as we've got a bit of action here. Nick the Villa is on the back of the Mutts Nuts as they're coming down towards the final chicane. But very clean first up from the guys so far. RJ Dale and Smokey, the only ones to have made mistakes or to have dropped off at the back of the pack. Big Blue, obviously, with his drive-through, had to start from the back and a long way behind the rest of them. But Nick the Villa is looking to the inside of the Mutts Nuts here into Redgates. He's too far back at the moment. As in the background, you've got Cobb and John Boy side by side here into Redgates. Cobb up the inside there has that move into 9th place as Captain Harlock and Mike just behind these guys right now. Mike driving in the Mercedes tonight, a very ballsy move indeed. He does have to carry 100 litres as he is a reserve. As to the top 4 in the championship, John Boy, Jay, Cobb, and obviously Captain Harlock as well. But we've got a cluster of cars here packed into a very short space. You've got Team MW leading this pack of cars, as we've got a bit of contact there between Park Cooper and the Mutt Nuts, was it, or Craig, I'm not sure. Craig's still just ahead of this pack right now as Aussie Al. He's looking around the outside here of the Mutt Nuts. Can he make that move? Because they come out of Coppice out onto the little straight as the Mutt Nuts, the Mutt Nuts does seem to keep ahead of Aussie there as they're coming down towards the final chicane. Aussie's on the outside. They've got Park now queuing up behind them. He seems to have lost out to both of them here as Aussie's trying to keep it there, and he squeezes. The Mutt Nuts squeezes Aussie out as now Park has got a bit of a run here on Aussie Al. Be coming down the start finish straight. Is he going to be able to get ahead of him? As we can see, 3 wide here down the start finish straight. You've got Nick Lavilla here also looking up the inside of these two as that is Nick there up the inside of Park Cooper. Aussie can't get it around Park Cooper, so Park Cooper holding down ahead of Aussie there, but Nick Lavilla getting ahead of both of them as you've got Mike there who's just lost out, just got ahead of Cobb, so actually Cobb's made a mistake there. He's lost out to John Boy and Mike on that previous lap, so I didn't see what happened there to him, but he's lost a few places in that exchange. Doris Steer still leading the way by just over a second right now ahead of Team MW. Craig is trying to hassle the back of Team MW. You've got the Mutt Nuts who's dropped off in his pack a bit. This pack of cars, whilst they've been battling, they've lost a little bit of time to the guys running in second and third places, so they're falling out of that podium battle. You've got Jay there just on the back of Aussie as he goes a bit wide. Cobb has now got back ahead of Mike up into 10th place. Obviously Mike running in the Mercedes, not going to have the confidence in that car that he has in the Megane or the BMW that he drove in the first season back on Project Cars 2. Is always in the foreground there. Who's that making a mistake? That's John Boy there making a mistake. So John Boy driving in the same livery as Cobb. He's made a huge mistake there out of Coppice onto the grass, and he's lost a load of places here down to P12. Oh, as the Mutt Nuts very wide out of the final corner, gets all over the grass, mowing the lawn there. Obviously thought that they hadn't done a good enough job there, and he's decided, you know what, I'm going to just go over what they've done there. But for the time being, he's holding on to that car by the skin of his teeth. In the background here, we've got a battle between RJ Dale and Big Blue side by side here down the start finish straight, and is RJ Dale going to be able to complete this one? But Big Blue, I think it's actually complete the move on him, sorry. So it was RJ Dale who was ahead, now Big Blue is ahead of him. As we've got battle for the lead here, Thoristeer just holding on ahead of Craig. It looked like Thoristeer might have, no, what's going on? Yeah, hold on, what? I don't know. Okay, sorry, it wasn't Thoristeer and Craig, sorry, that was Team MW and Craig, but Craig keeping ahead of Team MW at the moment. I did actually click on Thoristeer, I don't know why. I was watching something else. Anyway, we've got Park Hoover off in the background. So Park Hoover's made a mistake coming out of the old hairpin. He is now well down the order, down in 14th place. So he's had a bit of a nightmare there. In the meantime, it is still Thorist ahead of Craig. Team MW there running in third place as they've closed up onto the back of the race leader a little bit. So Craig and Team MW have gained quite a significant amount of time on this man here who's been leading the race since the early stages. The Mutt Nuts there wide out of the last corner. That's given Nick Lavilla P4. But Craig here really trying to hunt down Thoristeer. And Thoristeer had quite a comfortable cushion at the start, but now that is being eaten into very quickly here as we're on lap 6 of 18 for Motive Racing's Touring Car Championship here tonight at Donington National. Obviously race 13 of a 24 round season. Tonight will obviously be races 13, 14 and 15 for the entire season, and so far it's been an action packed race here for the first race of the night. We got Big Blue and Park People still battling over P13 and 14 as Park People has managed to get back ahead of him there, but obviously Park People with his mistake on that previous lap, he was in a good position in this race, but it's now gone away from him a little bit here. As Craig and Thorist always in the background. Is that Aussie? I think it's Aussie. Aussie's gone wide, he's gone off, and he's lost a few places here. So Aussie down to 11th place. Didn't see what happened there to him, but he's obviously dropped it somewhere. Had a bit of a slip, and he's well down the order there. So Aussie will be down to P11 as Craig's now opened up a bit of a gap here. Craig's got the lead, and he's now well clear of Team MW. Thoristeer, the Mutt Nuts, and Nick there completing the top 5, and then you've got John Boy and Jay right on the back of them right now. So John Boy and Jay are within 4 seconds of the lead, and Mike Gaming is coming with them in the Mercedes as well. So it's been a great drive from Mike so far, but he has got Aussie Alvey looking down his inside, coming down towards turn 1. Is this going to be job done here for Aussie Alvey? He's going to go late on the brakes there up the inside, and he has got the move done there on Mike Gaming. So Aussie Alvey up into P10. But Craig's still leading as he's coming through the crane of curves. He's got Team MW, the Mutt Nuts, and side by side here between Nick and Thoristeer, coming down towards the old hairpin. Thinks better of it to Thoris, but in fact Thoris has lost a few places here. So Thoristeer led the first few laps. He's now down to P5. Didn't actually see what happened, or if it was a mistake, or if he's just been overtaken by these guys down to them having the pace over him. But nonetheless, he's down to P5 as the Mutt Nuts here, keeping around the outside of Team MW, and that's a great move there from the Mutt Nuts. As Team MW's now stacked it here. What's happened to Team MW? He's dropped down the pack. He must have made a mistake there coming on the exit of the old hairpin. He's down in P10 as the Mutts Nuts is now within 2 seconds of the race leader Craig, but Nick and Captain side by side here coming out of Coppice down the back straight towards the final chicane. You've got John Boy now sneaking in the middle of them as now John Boy's in between them. John Boy looking to try and make it 2 moves in the space of a few hundred metres here as he goes down the inside of Captain Harlock into 3rd place. John Boy there with a fantastic opportunism there. Up into P3, you've got Captain Harlock there ahead of Jay, and followed by Nick and Ozzy. So that is now a 6-man fight here for 3rd place, led by John Boy and backed up by Mike Gaming here. You can see 3rd to 8th there coming through your shot into turn 1. You've got Team MW and Doris Steer battling over what is now 9th and 10th places, so their races have gone pear-shaped here. Cobb there running in 12th as well has had a nightmare of a first race of the night. His race has gone from reasonably promising to not the best. But it is still Craig out the front, but he's only got a second of a gap here. The Mutts Nuts is bringing that gap down. The Mutts Nuts has been there or thereabouts. He's had the pace in the build up to this race. In the practice lobbies throughout the week, he's been definitely the man to beat in terms of outright pace. Doesn't have to run 100 litres. He's not in the top 4 in the championship, and he's currently being able to make the absolute most of a light car and being able to manoeuvre the car in exactly how he wants it to. It's responding to his every demand, and the Mutts Nuts here is within 7/10 of a second of the race lead. We can see Doris here looking up the inside, trying to make the move here on Smokey Devil. Smokey's gone wide onto the grass, gets it held onto. I tell you what, that was a great save there from Smokey. Doris is going to look to try and get a run down towards the final chicane, but he's not going to be able to do it. And he tucks in for the time being behind Smokey. But you've got Craig here still leading the race ahead of the Mutts Nuts. These two coming into turn 1 here at the beginning of lap 9, should I say. You've got John Boy there ahead of Captain, followed by Jay. There's Nick ahead of Ozzy, followed by Mike Gaming. Team MW there running in the background in 9th place. You've got Smokey there in P10 ahead of Thoris Steer, followed by Cobb. And then there's Park Pooper and Big Blue, who are just coming into turn 1 here to start their 9th laps of the race. So that's the entire pack there. I just flicked through absolutely every driver, and the Mutts Nuts is now leading the race. So the Mutts Nuts has done Craig somewhere. Where has he done that move? The Mutts Nuts has hit the front here. I said before, he's been the man to beat. He's had the pace. He's got John Boy now in 3rd place, so John Boy can now try and chase him down as John Boy's sideways there. But Captain Harlock, Jay, these guys all carrying 100 litres tonight as Captain Harlock looking up the inside in towards Coppice. Is he going to make the move here on John Boy? He has to leave the space as he cuts the grass a little bit on the inside. Jay, I tell you what, was mowing the lawn, something rotten there as he squeezes through between Captain and John Boy, and now Jay up into 4th place. But John Boy's going to not done here. He's looking to the outside. It's going to be 3 wide here coming into the final chicane. Jay's in the meat in the sandwich. He's going to have to be conscientious here. John Boy swoops around the outside, and John Boy has to go wide. He goes onto the gravel, and he loses out to both of them as now Jay's got to run here on Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock leading this pack of cars. 6 cars in a line here coming down the start finish straight, and Jay looking to the outside here on Captain Harlock. You got Nick in the background trying to get involved as well, as Jay has to see Captain up the inside, has to see Ozzy up the inside, should I say. Ozzy Albies come from nowhere and squeezes through, and Jay onto the grass but keeps it around the outside. Ozzy can't make the move, and Jay's still trying to attack on the back of Captain Harlock. In the background you've got John Boy all sorts of sideways there, but holds it somehow. I don't know how he held on to that. Oh, it's Mike and Ozzy have come together. And these two constantly give each other stick in the game chat. Oh, and Ozzy's been helped around by Smokey as well. To be fair, I don't think you can blame Smokey too much for that. Ozzy was kind of like was out of sync with the guys who were coming up on him, and Smokey nowhere to go there. I don't think you can blame Smokey for that one, but nonetheless, let's cut this pack wide open here. Jay is now in 3rd place ahead of Captain Harlock. John Boy's on the back of these guys where they're running in P5 ahead of Nick Lavilla, and there's a bit of a gap back to Team MW, who's got Cobb trying to close up onto the back of him in the battle for 7th place. Mike Gaming down in 9th place after that little melee coming through the old hairpin. You've got Thoris Steer running ahead of Smokey. There's Par Pooper in the background now ahead of Ozzy Albi. Ozzy Albi down to 13th place, so this race has gone completely pear-shaped for him. There is Big Blue running in 14th place, but wow, an incredible race so far. The Mutts Nuts has still got Craig on the back of him, so there's less than a second currently separating the 2 leaders at the moment, but the battle between Captain Jay, John Boy and Nick is still raging on here on lap 11 of the race, as we've got Laura Sage in the comments saying evening everyone, come on Smokey Devil. Smokey currently running in 11th place at the moment, Laura, so some solid points, but not the race that I'm sure he would have been hoping for in this first race of the night. Emma's saying, evening Laura, good luck all. Good to see Emma, obviously on behalf of Ozzy Albi, and big fan of John Boy as well, we know that, but we've also got Groovy Crew there saying, have a good race, I wish you all good luck. Thank you Groovy Crew, it's been exciting so far to say the least, and yeah, it's been fun. But the Mutt here still leading ahead of Clegg as they're coming down towards the old, sorry, not the old, I was about to say the old chicane. I don't know what I'm thinking of there. The old hairpin I'm probably thinking of. That's probably what's in my mind. Anyway, Jay's on the back of Captain Harlock coming down towards the chicane. You've got John Boy throwing a little feint to the inside, but he's not close enough. These guys have gapped Nick the Villa ever so slightly here. Nick's just dropped off the back of these guys in this battle for the podium spots, but we're coming down the start-finish straight nonetheless. And you can see Captain Harlock's now got a bit of a gap here to Jay and John Boy. John Boy now looking to the inside here on Jay. Is this going to be job done into turn one? He's going to go late on the brakes. Jay's going to try and hold it around the outside, but he's not going to be able to do so. And that's job done there for John Boy. As Team MW running ahead of Cobb. There's Forestier ahead of Smokey, and looks like we've got a slow car here. Mike is letting Aussie and Park Pooper through, and Big Blue through as well. So what's happened to Mike Gaming here? Has he had a bit of a sketchy moment? I'm not quite sure, but nonetheless he's now at the back of the pack in P14, so something's obviously gone quite catastrophically there for Mike Gaming. But there is your gap at the front. That's the Mutt leading the race. That's Clegg there, a second and a half behind him in second place. There is Captain Harlock, who's running just ahead of John Boy in that battle for the podiums. You've still got Jay on the back of him, as well as Nick the Villa, who's still not out of that fight. You've got Team MW there and Cobb battling over 7th and 8th places. There's Forestier and Smokey Devil. And Aussie and Parkwood are still running quite close as well, so there are battles throughout the pack everywhere that you look right now. But we're going to stick with this battle here for third place between Captain, John Boy and Jay, as they're coming out of the last corner, as Captain gets it all wrong there coming out of the last corner, but actually keeps onto it and actually keeps the momentum, and if anything I think gained by not slowing down there. But into turn one they come once again. John Boy's still got the march there on Jay. Nick Levilla's just dropping off of them a little bit at this stage, but it can swings and roundabouts here. You never know what will happen from one lap to the next, so he could just get a couple of good laps in and be right on the back of them again. But yeah, what a first race we've had of the night so far. Obviously the reverse grid based on the championship standings, it never disappoints, and as always it's been exciting from the start to the current point. We've got Captain, John Boy and Jace still running quite close, as John Boy looking to the outside now on Captain, and can he get the momentum all the way around the outside? That'd be a great move for John Boy to pull this one off. Captain gives him a bit of a tap and has the inside for Coppice, as contact again between them, as Captain wide, John Boy wide, and Jay's going to stick up the inside and mug both of them there up into third place. So Jay there, absolutely superb stuff. Can he hold on coming into the final chicane though? John Boy's trying to make it 3 wide, but he can't. He looks to the inside. Oh, John Boy all over the grass. Captain Harlock gets, is he going to get mugged here by John Boy? No. John Boy a bit wide on the exit of the final corner. Captain Harlock holds on to that one, but Jay will be very happy with that, because he just sneaked by when the other two were concentrating on each other, and he picks up P3 there in the process. Nick Levilla now on the back of Captain Harlock and John Boy. Can Jay now try and stretch his legs with these guys battling behind him? He just goes a bit wide there coming through turn one. That would have cost him a bit of time. These guys are about 7 or 8 seconds off of the race leader, the Mutt Nuts, who continues to have about 1.5 seconds of a gap over Clegg. So the top two lapping consistently, similar to each other, but obviously the Mutt Nuts has that gap, and as long as he stays consistent he should be able to bring this home for the first win of the night. You've got Jay there running in third place ahead of Captain Harlock, followed by John Boy. This 4-man battle, which is rear gunned by Nick the Villa there, still going on. You've got Jay here who's just managed to keep onto that position since he mugged both Captain and John Boy coming through that very corner on the previous lap. You've got Cobb there who's gapped Team MW by a couple of seconds, so Cobb looking good for a P7 here. Team MW there in 8th place. You've got Aussie who's running just ahead of Smokey Devil and Big Blue. Heart Pooper on the back of these guys as well, so this is a 4-way battle here for 9th place as they're going through Coppice. There you've got Doris Steer running in the background in 13th place, followed by Mike Gaming, who has had a nightmare in his first race in the Mercedes. There's no other word for it. As Jay looking to the inside, he's lost out to Captain, so actually Captain Harlock's got himself up to 3rd place here. Jay must have made a mistake coming through the final part of the lap, either that or Captain made the move into the chicane, but now John Boy's got a bit of a run here on Jay as they're now coming down through the Craners. Jay hugs the inside curve and manages to hold on ahead of John Boy, as John Boy's going to look to the inside into the old hairpin, but nothing doing. Jay keeps it around the outside. These two old rivals, very good friends, very good foes, should I say, in a kind of a way, but yeah, they show each other the respect out on the track. They both know that each other is a clean, fair racer, and they know how to go wheel to wheel with each other. That is for sure. John Boy hasn't got enough for a run up the hill coming towards Coppice, and Jay though gets a little bit sideways. John Boy gives him a bit of a tap. Nowhere to go for John Boy, so he had no choice but to give a bit of a tap, and Nick the Villa goes very wide there out of that corner onto the grass, and he's going to have Cobb closing on him now. So Nick the Villa with a big mistake. It's still Captain Harlock leading this through a battle for 3rd place. It's now a 3-way battle, obviously, because Nick Livilla's not in it anymore. But Captain just starting to gap Jay and John Boy. As John Boy looking to the inside, is he going to have enough space to go for it? Jay has to leave him the space because John Boy's already there. Down the inside goes John Boy. Does he go too late on the brakes? Can Jay get the cutback? Maybe. Jay's going to go for the cutback, and he's going to beautifully execute that. G says, go on, John Boy, go send it up the inside. Go on, have some of that, mate. And then he goes and returns the favour, coming down towards Hollywoods, and through the crane of curves they go. And it's once again Jay sat in P4 in this race. John Boy's going to have to get up earlier in the morning if he wants to nab Jay there. We've got Kangi in the comments saying these guys had an awesome battle last week. I'm tuned in. You also alright, Andy? Yeah, good to see you, Kangi. Welcome along. Kangi races with us in the tier 2s for the GT3s on ACC. He's enjoying what he's seeing out here tonight as these guys side by side. You've got John Boy and Jay very close up the hill towards Coppice. In the background you've got Nick there, who's lost out to Cobb, so Cobb up into P6, but Jay keeping ahead of John Boy for the time being. Cobb up into 6th place. There's Nick Livilla, who's had a bit of a nightmare of a capitulation towards the end of this race. Gap at the front between the Mutsnuts and Craig is now over 2 seconds, so the Mutsnuts seems to have this one in the bag. Captain Harlock there running just ahead of Jay. You've got John Boy running in P5 with Cobb there in the background. Nick Livilla there on the back of these guys as well. There's Team MW as we've lost a driver. Somebody's retired from the race. That is Mike Gaming, who we've lost. So Mike Gaming out of this first race of the night on lap 17. Well, lap 16 it would have been for him. So he's obviously throwing in the towel, thinks there's no point in continuing anymore, but there's nothing really for him to gain in this race, I suppose. As Cobb back in, what's happened here? Hold on. Who's that? That's John Boy. Oh no, John Boy! John Boy's been there, coming through the craners. Oh, you couldn't write it. As Nick there squeezes up the inside, John Boy drops down to P7. Does he keep ahead of Nick Livilla here? There's going to be side by side up the hill. I think Nick's going to out drag him up the hill here. Or isn't? Well, I'll tell you what, no, John Boy's actually managed to stay ahead of him here. But John Boy losing a load of places. Was in a battle for 3rd place. He's now out of that battle, and in fact, was it a collision there between John Boy and Jay? It must have been, because Jay's only a second out of Cobb now, and he's 3 seconds behind Captain Harlock. So Jay and John Boy must have come together. I was saying before that these two very clean, fair racers, and they know how to race each other. Well, I'm eating my words right now because it looks like they don't. But Jay there running still a second clear of Cobb at the moment. There's John Boy ahead of Nick Livilla, and yeah, this battle for 3rd place is now pretty much done. Captain Harlock just needs to cruise home on this final lap. The Mutsnuts has got nearly a 3-second gap right now over Craig, so he looks to have this one done and dusted out in the lead. Craig there running in P2. There's Captain Harlock running in P3 right now, a few seconds clear of Jay. You've got Cobb there in 5th ahead of John Boy, followed by Nick Livilla, who you can see coming through Hollywoods right now. There's Team MW and Aussie Albie there coming through turn 1. He's got a few seconds back to Pop with Rex, who's got Smokey and Big Blue battling coming into turn 1. Big Blue can't make it happen. Smokey has the inside covered off, goes a little bit deep into turn 1. Can Big Blue get the undercut here? Down towards Hollywoods they go, and Smokey holds on to that 11th place for the time being. These guys are a few seconds clear of Doris Steer, who unbelievably, it's weird to think now, but he led the first few laps. But nonetheless, let's go to the Mutsnuts, because he's coming into the final chicane. And it's been a very, very good race from the Mutsnuts. Had a bit of a tricky start, but got into a rhythm, and he did not look back. Took the lead, pulled away from Craig. P1 for the Mutsnuts in the first race of the night. Craig takes P2 in the end. A solid result from him. Captain Harlock comes up towards the line to finish this one in 3rd place, completing the podium. As Jay weaving around, pretty chuffed there to come out on top against John Boy. Cobb actually mugs John Boy there for 5th place at the end. John Boy's 6th. Nick Livilla over in 7th place ahead of Team MW, who comes over in 8th. Aussie Albie's going to finish this one in 9th place in the end, and he's a few seconds clear of Park with Rex, who's going to come over to take a P10 as he comes over now. Smokey Devil will hold on ahead of Big Blue for 11th place as those two come over. So Smokey 11th, Big Blue 12th. And Doris Steer will come over to take P13 in this first race of the night. Obviously we lost Mike Gaming as he would have been the 14th driver, but he unfortunately retired from the race a few laps from the end. So that is the first race of the night, guys. The Mutsnuts taking him win ahead of Craig in 2nd, and Captain Harlock completing at the podium. Will be about 1 minute. We're going to stay on stream because obviously I'm not using OBS tonight because my computer seems to have packed in the ability to run OBS. So for the foreseeable future, we're going to be doing PlayStation streams. But to be fair, the quality's the picture. One plus point, if there is a plus point, is that the picture quality is better and the audio quality is better. Albeit the only downside is that I can't run intervals, I can't run ads, I can't have overlays or music in between races. So it's just kind of a bit of a hole that needs filling. But nonetheless, I think there are plus points to doing streaming straight from the PlayStation. But nonetheless, anyway, guys, we're going to quickly jump into the lobby. We're going to set the second race up, and we'll be about 1 minute or so for that.
Una did this very nicely today, so try and keep it.
Can I help you?
Did you see where I put them?
Can I help?
Can you help what?
Can I help?
No, I'm asking you if you realise how I'd helped you.
Alright.
And did you? Had you noticed where I put them right where you could reach them?
Please don't unsettle me. Mate, the problem is that I'm not running OBS streams right now, so I can't mute it. I can't mute anything. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the second race of the night here at Motive for the Touring Car Championship. We've got a brief 5-minute qualifying session before we get into the second race of the night. So it's the only race of the night which is a qualifying, so obviously the other two are reverse grids with practices beforehand. This is the only qualifying session that we have of the entire night. We've got 15 drivers in the session. We lost a couple over the course of that first race of the night, but hopefully we'll see RJ Dale and Mike Gaming make it to the end for this second race. Mike Gaming is he still in the Mercedes? I think he is, yeah. So he's not backing down from this pretty serious challenge that he's set himself here. How's this one going to go? Obviously we saw the Mutt taking the win in the first race of the night, doing an excellent job. Craig bringing it home for P2. The Mutt pulled away a bit towards the end. Third place went to Captain Harlot. We saw an exciting battle between Captain Harlot and the likes of Jay and John Boy, and Cobb managing to nab John Boy right at the end of the race as well. But I'm sure we'll be seeing a similar story in this second race. Obviously the guys who qualify well will be starting at the front this time around, unlike in the last one, which was a practice, so it had no bearing at all on the grid order. We've got Smokey and Parker still in the pits, so they need to get themselves out there sharpish if they want to start near the front. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to quickly sort something out. So we've got John Boy currently top of the leaderboard in this qualifying session. We've got just over a minute left to go. In fact, the Must Nuts has gone and nabbed him there. So the Must Nuts goes top of the board there on a 109 dead. John Boy there flying in the 109 ones with 100 litres in. Jay likewise doing the same thing with 100 litres in the tank. Nick De Villa in 4th place on a 109.2. You've got Aussie Albie in 5th at the moment with Captain Harlock. He's running 100 litres. He's currently on a 109.4. Craig on a 109.6 in 7th place. Mike Gaming in the Mercedes with 100 litres as well, dipping into the 109s. That's pretty impressive. And look at that, John Boy with 100 litres in his tank has done a 108.7. That is insane there from John Boy. He's the man who's able to pull out absolute worldly lap times that you can't even fathom, and he's just gone and done it there. 108.7, not even on a light tank. He has done that with 100 litres in his car. That is sensational. There's no other word for it. Sensational there from John Boy. As Charlie Goff has joined the session, but he won't be able to race as it's too late. So Charlie, if you're listening, mate, if you're watching the stream, get yourself in for the final race. It'll be a reverse grid and I'll give you pole position because I'm feeling extra nice. So yeah, Charlie, make sure you stick around for the final race of the night. But John Boy there doing an absolute belter of a lap time. And is he on an improvement this time around? Let's see as he comes up towards the line. Imagine if he were to improve that from what he did there. No, he can't, but nonetheless, that is incredible there from him. That second lap there was a 109 dead, so he's done 2 laps there, good enough for pole position. That is absolutely incredible there from John Boy. The Mutts Nuts in second, 3.5 tenths adrift with a lighter car. Jay, the benchmark there, you know, on a 109.1 with 100 litres in. John Boy has gone 4 tenths quicker than him. Nick De Villa in 4th with Aussie P5. Cobb's pitted, so he's not going to improve. Captain's out there, but he's done. I think they're all done pretty much here. They look to all be going quite slowly, so I think that is the session done. Yep. So it is going to be John Boy, unless the Mutts Nuts can find a few tenths here as he comes up towards the line. Currently P2 in this session. Does he improve? And we will find out in just a moment whether he found the time. He did not. So it's John Boy still your pole man here for this second race of the night. Incredible lap there from him with 100 litres in his tank, no less. And to be fair, the middle sector there from John Boy, absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, bringing the smoke when he needed it there. Final sector as well, extremely strong. So yeah, all round fantastic lap time indeed there from John Boy. The Mutts Nuts losing it all in the middle sector, I've got to say. That was where he was struggling. But nonetheless, we are getting ready to go for the second race of the night here. 17 laps, no formation lap. The other 2 races in the Touring Car Championship, both with formation laps. But the second race, no formation lap. It's literally just a standing start based on the results from the qualifying session. So that's the grid order that we've got for this one. So we're straight into the race, no hanging about. John Boy there, pole position. Mutts Nuts alongside him on the front row. Just going to double check the fuel, make sure the guys have got 100 litres in. John Boy's got it in. Jay's got 0 litres in. I think that's a glitch. Nick also is 0 litres. So yeah, there is a glitch which shows that everybody's got 0. I think that's until they've readied up. Must be until they've readied up. It shows 0 litres. Must be something like that. Yeah. So John Boy's got his. Jay's got his. Cobb's got his. Captain Harlock's got his. And Mike also should be the other one carrying 100 litres. So those guys have all got their mandatory 100 litres in the car. Obviously the ballast that they have to carry for being in the top 4 in the championship, or for Mike, in Mike's case obviously he's a reserve. Also a former champion, he's actually not a former champion, he's the current champion, but he won't be champion this season because he's racing as a reserve this season. So Mike Gaming, 2-time champion of this touring car division here at Motive. He's not going to take the championship this season, as I said before, because he is not racing every round. So it's been very hard for him to win the championship if he can't make every round, especially with the competitivity of this league. But nonetheless, guys, we are moments away from the start of the second race of the night. If you are enjoying, please do hit the like button, subscribe to the Motive Racing channel as well. If you're one of the drivers and you want to share it with your friends, family members, or your otherwise associates, then also please do feel free to do so, as it does help us out an enormous amount, getting our channel to the attention of the masses. But here we are then, we've got the lights on here at the head of the grid here at Donington Park. We are about to go racing here on the national circuit for the second race of the night, and it's lights out and away we go. and it looks like the Mutts Nuts has got a great start there. He's absolutely flown off the line, and I tell you what, John Boy was absolutely sleeping there as Jay's looking down the inside of the Mutts Nuts into red gates, but can't make anything happen. But John Boy's lost out to the Mutts Nuts, Jay and Nick the Villa, and might lose out here to Aussie Albie as well. He's looking around his outside, so John Boy there looks like he was taking a nap there on the grid, and it's down to P4 already. But it's the Mutts Nuts there who leads, coming through the crane of curves down towards the old hairpin as we all file through. A very clean start from everybody. 3 seconds currently separating all 15 drivers, as Doris Steer's made a mistake there coming through the old hairpin, gets it sideways and loses the place there to RJ Dale. So Doris Steer, the first driver to make a mistake in this race. Charlie Goff's left the race. Obviously he will be able to get back in for the final race of the night. A bit sideways there from Jay in the background in third place. He's just ahead of John Boy, but extremely clean from all the drivers so far on this first lap of the race. As RJ Dale's dropped off a little bit off of the pack here, Doris Steer dropping well off with that big mistake coming through the old hairpin. But the Mutts Nuts leads the race ahead of Nick the Villa as they come down towards the final chicane. You can see there John Boy throwing a little feint to the inside on Jay into the final chicane. There's Aussie ahead of Craig, Cobb there ahead of Captain, there's Big Blue ahead of Park, followed by Team MW, Mike there ahead of Smokey, and then RJ Dale and Doris Steer a little way behind there in 14th and 15th places. Down the start finish straight into red gates for the second time in this race. You got Jay here trying to defend from John Boy into turn 1. Can John Boy get all the way around the outside? That'd be a brave move for him. He's able to do that. He's onto the curve a little bit. That will lose him a little bit of momentum as they come through Hollywoods. But Aussie's looking to the inside here. Can he get a bit of a run? No, he can't. He has to tuck in for the time being. He's not got enough of a run to make anything happen just there. Cobb, Captain, there's Big Blue in the thick of it right now. Park Pooper there running ahead of Team MW. Sorry, you can say his name if you want, Nana. But there's Mike Gaming on the back of Team MW. You can say Big Blue. You can say Big Blue. You can say Big Blue, but you can't tell me anything sophisticated. Alright, the Mutts Nuts here running ahead of Nick, followed by Jay. As you can see, Jay's trying to keep ahead of John Boy right now. What is it?
Can you sit down very carefully on it?
Yes, I'm allowed to use it. Excellent. Right, cool. I need to commentate. I need to get back to the race now. Right, Mutts Nuts and Nick still 4/10 apart as they're coming down the back straight down towards the chicane. You can see here Nick trying to get a bit of a run, but he can't get it. John Boy here is right on the back of Jay coming down towards the chicane. Has a little feint, but once again not really in a position to do anything. Cobb there's just ahead of Captain Harlock. Captain trying to make the move. Oh, it's Big Blue tacks him in the rear, and Big Blue stacks it and gets it all out of shape there and loses a load of places down to P12. He might lose out to Smokey Devil, but Smokey's not got enough of a run here down the start finish straight. But Big Blue there dropping down the packers. John Boy's looking to the outside of Jay into red gates, but he can't make anything happen there. Has to tuck in for the time being. Aussie there's running ahead of Cobb, followed by Captain. There's Craig ahead of Park Pooper and Team MW. Mike ahead of Big Blue, and Smokey Devil rounding out that pack of cars. You got in fact RJ Dale and Thorister now on the back of them as well. So these guys have brought themselves back into this fight in the mid-pack here. But the Mutts Nuts are leading the race. Obviously he won the sprint race, or not the sprint race, but the first race of the night. He was the race winner. He's looking to try and make it 2 from 2 so far at Donington, but he's going to have drivers behind him who are going to be hunting him down as John Boy and Jay side by side. These two old rivals up towards Coppice as they go. John Boy has the inside. Jay's going to hold it around the outside with better grip. Oh, he gets sideways though as Jay and does well to hold on to that one, but now he might be vulnerable here to Aussie Albie, who's got a bit of a run coming down towards the final chicane. Aussie will have to slipstream off of John Boy and should be able to tuck in ahead of Jay coming into the chicane. No, Jay's going to go late on the brakes. Does he get it stopped in time? I think he does. As Jay goes wide there, gets a bit of a tap there from Aussie as well. Aussie should be able to get the run down the start finish straight as Jay's all over the place here. You've got Cobb looking to the inside. There goes Captain Harlock as well. Captain Harlock's now looking to try and get around the outside of these guys, but Jay has the inside line covered off and keeps ahead of Aussie Albie as John Boy's pulling away from this pack of cars. You can see there that Cobb's looking at the inside now, trying to make some places, but he's just squeezing ahead of Craig. Craig has the run coming down through Hollywoods and the crane of curves. Craig there on the outside of Cobb. Who's going to come out on top in this battle here? Cobb hugs the inside curve and just gets the move done as Craig goes very wide onto the grass. Might lose out to Parpu, but I think he's got enough momentum there to stay ahead for the time being. But Jay is leading this pack of cars, batting over 4th place. You've got Aussie, Captain, Cobb ahead of Craig and Parpu. There's Mike ahead of Big Blue, Smokey, RJ Dale. In fact, RJ Dale's dropped off in this pack, and so has Doris Steer. And Team MW is in the pits. So Team MW's got big damage there by the looks of it, and has had to come in to get that repaired. So that's going to cost him massive amounts of time in this race. But Jay currently running in 4th place. It's a long train of cars. These guys are trying to close up onto the leaders, and the Mutts Nuts has dropped it somewhere because the Mutts Nuts has made a mistake. He is now nearly 2 seconds behind the race leader Nick the Villa. So I don't know what's happened there to the Mutts Nuts, but he's made a mistake or something's happened to him. As we got Team MW coming out of the pits there, just ahead of the race leader Nick the Villa. There's John Boy ahead of the Mutts Nuts, followed by Aussie, who's got Jay looking to his inside, but in fact Aussie's made the move on Jay coming to the final sector there, so that's now the job done. Oh, in the background there you've got somebody going wide. That's was that Mike who went wide, or was it Big Blue? It was I think it was the Mercedes that went wide there coming out of turn 1, and he's running in P10 right now is Mike, and we've lost the driver. That's Team MW, who's retired from the race here on lap 5, so an early retirement from him. Hopefully he can get himself back in for the final race of the night. It would have made sense for him to carry on, because he would have been able to start on pole for the final race if he had finished this second race, but nonetheless he's going to have to do it from the back here in the final race of the night. But still got Aussie running instead of Jay, followed by Captain Cobb. There's Craig ahead of Park Hooper, Mike and Big Blue, and this is a 8-car battle here for 4 plays. Sorry about that. Aussie looking to the outside here, and on Jay coming into the final chicane, but Jay's got the inside covered off nicely and keeps on to that position there. But a very, very exciting second race of the night. It's been non-stop action so far. Nick just running ahead of John Boy right now as these guys battling it out over the lead of the race. Obviously Nick Levilla's got a light tank, John Boy's got the 100 litres in his. Mutt's running light, but he's 2 seconds behind the race winner from the first race, currently running in P3. There's the battle for 4th place, continuing to rage on as Cobb's got it a little bit out of shape there. Captain Harlock up the inside up into P6. Now Cobb's got to watch out because Craig's on the back of him, but he's got Mike really close on him as well as they're coming through the old hairpin. No dramas between these 8 cars, who are 2 seconds separating the 8 drivers right now from 4th down to 11th place. What an incredible battle this is, as Captain gets a bit of a tap from his livery sake there, Captain Harlock. But Smokey seems to have dropped off of this battle a little bit there, currently running in P12, seems to have lost a bit of time to these guys. But there is Jay, there's Aussie, Captain trying to attack on Aussie as they're coming down towards the final chicane. As you've got Cobb there just eyeing up a move there on Captain, but just can't get far enough alongside him. Big Blue's trying to defend from Park Hooper coming into the final chicane. But there they come, basically all in a line coming down the start finish straight. There's Smokey in the background. And look at this is a fantastic battle going on here for 4th place in this race. Park is still trying to get close on the back of Big Blue, but still can't really do it. Oh, it's Aussie trying to send one up the inside of Jay coming into the old hairpin. Now Aussie's going to watch out because he's got Cobb looking to his inside here. Cobb will breeze past him up the hill as there is Captain Harlock getting it horribly wrong there, getting it onto the grass a little bit as he's got Mike just behind him. And wow, incredible stuff there. So that was Aussie, not Captain, sorry. It was Aussie who we saw on the grass. So Aussie there losing a couple of places. Behind Craig now, as he's got Mike looking to try and get a run on him coming out of Coppice. Down the back straight they go. It's Jay who's now starting to pull away ever so slightly from this pack, but he's got Cobb trying to come after him here. Captain there ahead of Craig, followed by Aussie, who's now in 8th place. And you've got Big Blue looking to the inside of Mike into the final chicane. Oh, Big Blue trying to squeeze in, but Mike there keeping it there and just holding on to that 9th place. Big Blue, they gave him a big old tap as they came through the final chicane, but it's as you were between those two at the moment. Jay still in 4th place right now ahead of Cobb. There's Craig ahead of Captain, followed by Aussie. Mike there ahead of Big Blue and Park Hooper, with Smokey Devil completing what is now a 9-car train, separated by 3 seconds. Is in the foreground there. You've got Mike there riding onto the grass, and he loses out to Big Blue. So Big Blue up into 9th place with Mike's little mistake just there. Oh wow, incredible stuff here tonight from all of these guys. You've got Aussie. Captain gets sideways onto the gravel, onto the grass. This time it was Captain making the mistake, not Aussie. He's now got Craig looking around his outside, and Craig will get that job done up into 7th place. As Big Blue making a big mistake there. Mike will be up the inside up into 9th. Is Park Hooper going to follow him through as well? He is. Park Hooper up into P10. Can Smokey also get this job done here on Big Blue as well? I think he is going to get that one done. Smokey up into 11th place. Incredible racing from these guys. As Smokey there just manages to squeeze Big Blue to the edge of the track just there. Nick Levilla still leading the race ahead of John Boy, 0.2 of a second separating these two as the Mustnuts goes very wide, but Mustnuts has been closing in a little bit over the course of the last few laps. It was 2 seconds back to the Mustnuts at one point. He's now only a second and a half behind the leader, so he has been bringing the gap down on average. Cobbs is now ahead of Jay, so Jay must have made a mistake on that previous lap because Cobb is now running in P4. There is Jay just behind him ahead of Aussie Albie. And there is Craig ahead of Captain, followed by Mike, who's just ahead of Part Hooper, and Smokey ahead of Big Blue, and a bit of a gap back to RJ Dale, who's absolutely miles ahead of Doris Deer, who has had a nightmare of a second race of the night. There is no other description for the situation he currently finds himself in. But Mutsnuts continuing to keep the gap, keep these guys on their toes, keep them honest at the moment. But there they go through that final chicane. Cobb has managed to cap Jay a little bit over the course of the last couple of laps. You can see there Jay just ahead of Aussie. Craig and Captain still going at it, but these guys have dropped out of that battle for the fourth place a little bit. Captain's got a bit of a run coming down the start-finish straight. In the background, you've also got a battle going on between Part Hooper and Mike, which Mike seems to have got the move done on Part Hooper, but Aussie side by side with Captain into the first corner, and he gets the move done around the outside there. There's Aussie Albie. Great move from him up into P6. Beautifully executed. As in the background, you've got Smokey running wide coming out of Red Gates, just ahead of Part Hooper and Big Blue. Mike trying to keep these guys behind him right now in that Mercedes. Not going to be an easy job for him, that's for sure. Battle at the front still raging on. Mutsnuts is now creeping ever closer to the back of the front too. John Boy's still keeping Nick Lavilla on his toes right now. Only 0.6 of a second separating these guys as they're coming out onto the back straight once again. There's the battle for fourth place continuing to go on between Cobb and Jay. Aussie's on the back of these guys right now as well. There's Captain Harlock still keeping Craig at bay. There's Mike there sideways in the background. Huge slide there from him. Smokey's got Big Blue and Part Hooper now coming at him though as they're coming down towards the final chicane. Smokey there trying to keep it down the middle. Big Blue up the inside. Keeps ahead of Part Hooper. Part Hooper trying to go for the cut back here out onto the start finish straight. And Part Hooper here is going to get the run here on Big Blue. And should have that momentum coming into Red Gates there. So Part Hooper back up into P10. Smokey in the background there, watching this unfold. Part Hooper there, job done on Big Blue. As here are the leaders, Nick, John and the Mutsnuts just coming around to put a lap on Doris Deer in a moment's time. There's Cobb, Jay and Aussie Albie, who are still locked horns in a battle for 4th, 5th and 6th places. There's Craig running in P7 ahead of Captain Harlock. Mike, Part Hooper and Big Blue there battling over 9th place. You've got Smokey there in the background just on the back of these guys. RJ Dale there running in P13. But action aplenty here in this second race of the night. Captain looking up the inside of Craig into the final chicane. There's Mike just ahead of Part Hooper and Big Blue. Smokey on the back of these guys as well. There's RJ Dale. But the Mutsnuts now within a second of the front too, so he's making this a three-car battle here for the lead. Nick's still holding on, but the Mutsnuts is coming for Nick Lavilla and John Boy. Cobb has just managed to pull out the gap to almost a second here to Jay. As John Boy's made the move on Nick Lavilla, so Nick Lavilla's made a mistake. He must have had a bit of a slip there coming out of the old hairpin up the hill because he's lost out to John Boy. John Boy now leads the race as John Boy having to defend here because Nick's looking around the outside up towards Coppice. And is John Boy going to have the legs? He does. And in fact, Nick's going to watch out because the Mutsnuts up the inside there through Coppice, and that's the Mutsnuts up into P2 there. So he makes the move beautifully there. Nick Lavilla saw him coming and gave him the space. Probably knew there was going to be an incident if he didn't give him the space. But the Mutsnuts up into second place. And he's trying to make it 2 wins from 2 so far tonight, the Mutsnuts. If he can get onto the back of John Boy and get ahead of him, it will be his second win of the night here at Donington National for race 14, obviously, of this season, of a 24 race season. Tonight is round 5, races 13, 14 and 15 of a 24 round season. Currently John Boy has got that advantage over these two. There's Cobb ahead of Jay. Aussie Albie coming through turn 1. You've got Captain Harlock there running just ahead of Craig. Smokey Devil still trying to defend from Big Blue coming down towards turn 1. You've got Part Hooper there running just ahead of Mike. There's RJ Dale ahead of Doris Deer. Battle for P7 still rages on between Captain Harlock and Craig. There's Smokey, who's just ahead of Big Blue, who's trying to keep it around the outside of Part Hooper Rex. Big Blue didn't get a great run there. He's got Part Hooper now breezing past him up the hill. Can Big Blue come back at him though? Tell you what, Big Blue's got a better run up towards Coppice. Should have that move around the outside. Is Pop going to keep himself there? He is going to keep himself there. And these guys are still side by side coming out onto the back straight. Big Blue there has the better run, has more momentum, and gets the move done eventually. We've got Oculus Arch there coming in, saying in the comments, "Go on lads, good race from Revolt Detailer." Ah, he'll be back when he gets a new PlayStation. Yeah, good to see you in the comments, mate. Unfortunately, you couldn't be with us the last couple of weeks. Obviously, I know today you were a bit busy with other things, so but obviously great to see you as well, and yeah, hope to see you back as soon as possible, Leo. He's actually our sponsor for the Touring Car Championship, Revolt Detailer, revoltdetailer.com. If you check it out, you can actually see some cool car detailing products as well. So yeah, revoltdetailer.com, definitely go ahead and check those guys out. They give prizes to the top 3 in the championship. But yeah, that is who Oculus Arch is. He's a regular racer in this Touring Car Championship. But we've got John Boy, the Mutts Nuts, and Nick here, separated by just under a second as they're coming down towards the final chicane. But still John Boy keeping these guys at bay. There's Cobb running just ahead of Jay. You can see he's actually gapped him by over a second now, so Cobb looking a lot more secure in that 4th place. There's Aussie Albie running about a few seconds ahead of Captain Harlock. Charlie Goff's got himself back in the session, so he will be able to race for the final race of the night. So he should have a full grid for the final race of the night, which would be absolutely brilliant. Oh, it's Smokey sideways there coming out of the out of the last corner. Smokey here hogging the inside line. You can see here Pop trying to run the outside. Big Blue's going down the middle. Going down the inside. And is he going to make that stick? Oh, Big Blue pushing Smokey, and he just tags him in the middle, back of it there. Pop managing to mug both of them up into P9, and Smokey there just, I think, will be a little bit frustrated with that one. But meeting the sandwich there, Big Blue had nowhere to go. Part Pooper, the benefactor of that little incident. RJ Dale is now arriving on the back of Big Blue and Smokey here, so can he get himself into the top 10 maybe? It'd be a good result for him in his 2nd race of the night after not the best of races in the 1st race. Mike getting there running in P13, driving in the Mercedes. I'm sure he's regretting that more and more the more this night goes on. Doris Steers had a torrid night, and he's got big damage on the front as well. Hard to think that he actually led the first few laps of the 1st race of the night. His race has gone completely to pot. Speaking of pot, Aussie Albie's running in P6. You got Cobb there running ahead of Jay. You got Captain there running in P7. Craig there a couple of seconds behind him in 8th place. Parker there ahead of Big Blue, followed by Smokey. There's RJ Dale. Mike Gaming there a few seconds behind, running in 13th place at the moment. But up the hill we come into Coppice here for the penultimate time. The Mutts Nuts here has the lead of the race, and he's looking to try and make it 2 from 2 here tonight at Motive for the touring cars. What a night it'll be so far from him. Had a great run in the 1st race, managed to hunt down Craig for the lead, pulled away from him. In this race he did actually have the lead early on, and then lost out to John Boy and Nick through a mistake, but he went and got on the back of him once again, and he's now got the ascendancy here. What a drive it's been as he starts the final lap. Can he hold on and take home his 2nd win in the space of as many races? John Boy and Nick aren't going to make it easy for him. John Boy's got a gap under half a second here to the Mutts Nuts. Let's stick with these guys as they're embarking on one final run around Donington National Circuit here in this 2nd race. We've got one more race after this as well, which will be a reverse grid based on the results from this race. Out of the old hairpin we go. Up the hill for the final time here in race 2. John Boy trying to creep a little bit closer here, but I think unless Mutts Nuts makes a mistake, I think that he should. I think that John Boy's going to be looking at a P2 here in this one. John Boy closing the gap up the hill. Is the Mutts Nuts just feeling a bit tentative at this point? Through and out of Coppice we go. The Mutts Nuts got a better run than John Boy out of Coppice. That will give him the run. Oh, it's Nick the Villa wide in the background there. That's going to consign him to a P3 at best. I think that was pretty much all that he could do anyway. But down towards the final chicane, John Boy throwing a feint to the inside, trying to distract the Mutt-Snuts, but the Mutt-Snuts having absolutely none of it. And he's going to come up towards the line, and it's going to be his second win in the space of 2 races here. He just holds on. John Boy came at him at the end there, but it's the Mutt-Snuts who takes the win from John Boy. Nick the Villa takes 3rd place ahead of Cobb, who's going to come over to take 4th place in the end ahead of Jay, who brings it home in P5. Captain Harlock is going to come around. He's going to take P6 here in this second race of the night. Craig will bring it home in 7th, a little way clear of Park Hooper Rex, who's coming out of the last corner. Oh, he's gone wide there onto the grass. Who's going to get it here? It's going to be close. Park Hooper holds on ahead of Big Blue. There's Smokey ahead of RJ Dale, followed by Aussie, who brings it home in 12th. Mike Gaming 13th, and Doris Steer a lap down, finishes in 14th place. We did actually lose Team MW early on in the race, and obviously Charlie Goff didn't start, so we'll be having both of those guys in the final race of the night, which will be great, as we'll have pretty much a full grid. In fact, we will have a full grid, not pretty much, we will have a full grid for this final race of the night. So let's jump back in the lobby. In fact, hold on, let me just pause. Hold on. Right, here we go then. Right, boys, it's going to be, so I feel sorry for Charlie, so he's going to start P1. So Charlie P1, Team MW P2, Thoris P3, Mike P4, Aussie P5, RJ P6, Smokey P7, Big Blue P8, Parker P9, Craig P10, Captain P11, Jay P12, Cobb P13, Nick P14, John Boy P15, Mutts P16. You're psychic. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the final race of the evening here tonight at Motive for the Touring Car Championship. This round 5, races 13, 14 and 15. This is race 15 of a 24 round season here for season 13. And we have got the reverse grid based on the results from the second race of tonight. So we'll take the results from that race that we just had a few moments ago. We will tip the results on the head, and that will be the starting order for this one. So the guys who finished at the front will have to come from the back in this final race. And we have got one extra driver for this final race because Charlie Goff, who wasn't able to make tonight for the first part, is able to make the final race of the night. So he obviously had something else that he was doing and got home in time for the final race. So he is here for one race here. So he won't lose as many points as he otherwise would have done. So good to see Charlie. Welcome back into the racing on a Thursday in the touring cars. But we're coming towards the end of the practice here. This is obviously not going to have any effect on the grid order for the start of this final race of the night. So it will be literally just a bit of an acclimatisation. The track will be a bit colder now because it's a bit later in the day, with it being the race is actually set to 6 o'clock in the evening, so the sun will be sort of starting to set, although it's set in summertime this particular round. So it will be sort of, you know what it's like in the summer. Obviously sunset starts at about 5:30, but then it doesn't fully set until about sort of 9-10 o'clock. So it's a very slow sunset in the summertime. So you'll see it'll be a slight drop in temperature, but not really massive. Nuts nonetheless. Can he set the fastest time in this practice session? Over the line he comes. No, he can't. Misses out by 0.06 of a second. The two-time race winner tonight is the Mutts Nuts. Can he make it 3 wins? Can he get his hat-trick tonight? I don't think he's ever taken a hat-trick before. Could tonight be his night? Nonetheless, John Boy, the Mutts Nuts, Captain Harlock and Craig, your top 4 in final practice here for the touring cars tonight. And once again, I want to thank everybody who's tuned in here tonight. Most of the people who tune in are friends, family members or otherwise associates of the drivers out on track, but I know there are a couple of you who do tune in who are racers mainly on Motive, and you tune in and check us out, and we really appreciate, or I really appreciate all of your support and your comments and your likes. So if you do enjoy, please do hit the like button, guys. If you're one of the drivers watching this back afterwards, don't forget to do it because it does actually help. And share it with your friends, family members and otherwise associates if you want them to check out what you've been getting up to on a Thursday evening. If they're interested in motorsport or touring cars or project cars in general, then definitely feel free to forward it around. But we're here at the head of the grid. We've got 16 drivers, a full grid out on track. We've got a reverse grid formation lap based on the results from race 2, so we're not going to be going straight away. Obviously if anybody jumps the start, then they can drive round and do their drive through, and then they've got to start at the back, so they'll have to wait for the pack to come through turn 1 before they can actually go. But hopefully no one jumps the start, because we did have Big Blue jump the start in the first race, and obviously hopefully everybody's learned from that and knows not to do it. But here we are then, syncing up, getting ready to go for the formation lap here for the final time this evening here at Motive here at Donington Park. What a night it's been. Donington National never disappoints. It is always one of the most exciting tracks on the calendar. I'm glad to have had it back this season, because last season we went for a bit of a change and went for the GP loop. Just like last season we went for Alton Park International, this season we've gone for the Fosters and the Island, both on the same calendar, but the International missing. So few tracks, few configurations which we've missed this season that we quite often have. Silverstone National being one of them we haven't had, so there's a few tracks that we haven't been doing this season, which I'm sure we'll be incorporating again next season. We're doing both Brands Hatch layouts actually this season. I think we've got Brands Hatch GP, I think, coming up next week, I think it is. Then after that, I'm trying to think where we're at after that. I'm trying to think where we're racing for the penultimate round of the season. It will come to me. I know I've put it on the Discord server as well. But yeah, plenty of racing still to be done this season. Plenty of excitement still to be had. The touring cars, probably one of my most exciting series to commentate on ever here at Motive. it's just such close and clean racing for the most part. Anyway, clean, you know, but definitely close. And yeah, never know what's going to happen until the end. Yeah, so basically we're not racing at Brands Hatch GP next week. We're at Snetterton on the 300 layout next week, and then after that we go to Brands Hatch GP for the penultimate round of the season, and then the season will conclude on the 9th of March at Silverstone Classic. So I thought to myself, we've got to go out with a bang for season 13. We've got to really have an absolute cracker on show, and what better track to do than Silverstone Classic? It never fails to disappoint, let's be honest. I think the only one that will probably be, the only one that we still need to do probably is Silverstone GP. I reckon Silverstone GP with the touring cars would actually be classic, and again, no pun intended, but that would be amazing. But nonetheless, we're coming to tail on for the first time. We've got Mike Gaming trying to defend here from Aussie Albi. Aussie Albi goes deep into red gates and he loses out and spins it. Oh, he needs to be careful. No, Aussie. He rejoins in the path of Smokey. Smokey nowhere to go. Aussie Albi there has dropped down the pack like a stone. He's down in P16. The Mutts Nuts, the race winner from the first 2 races of the night, has managed to squeeze through up into P15. In fact, P14, he's got ahead of Smokey Devil there. So he's looking good at the moment. But Smokey's lost it as well. Smokey bins it there, coming through the old hairpin. And I don't know whether he's ended up in the wall, but he's lost a lot of time there as Charlie leads ahead of Team MW, followed by Thoristeer, who's looking to the inside in towards Coppice. Thoristeer up the inside. Does he get the move done? Team MW a little bit wide onto the grass, and you can see there that Mike is now attacking on the back of Thoristeer, but Team MW loses out to Big Blue as well, so he's down to P5. There's a big gap between the top 5 and the rest of them here. Captain Harlock running in 6th ahead of Park, who were followed by Jay. You've got Craig and Cobb with RJ Dale, John Boy, Nick and the Mutts Nuts all in that group of cars. So from 5th all the way down to 14th, you've got 10 cars separated by about 5 seconds here, so lots of drivers packed into a short space. But it's Charlie, Doris, Mike and Big Blue who are trying to break away from the rest of them here. TMW running by himself in P5, Captain and Pop who are battling over 6th and 7th places. Then you've got the battle for 8th, which is all the way down from 8th down to 14th place. 7 cars here, as you've got Jay now trying to get a run here on Craig, trying to get into 8th place if he can. He's got to run through Hollywoods. Is he going to be able to get this move done? He's just squeezing ahead of Craig, coming down towards the Crane of Curves, and that's now job done there. Jay's up into 8th place there ahead of Craig. That's a beautiful move there from him. Aussie Albi and Smokey Devil both in the pits here at the end of the first racing lap, obviously with damage on their cars, and they're not going to be in anywhere in this race, I don't think. Charlie Goff opening up a bit of a gap here over Thoristeer and Mike, so Charlie looking to try and make the most of his lofty grid position, being on pole, and trying to just take the race and run if he can. But Thoris, Mike and Big Blue still quite close, coming in towards the final chicane. Big Blue trying to have a look here on Mike, but Mike's got that covered off at the moment. There's Team MW running in the background ahead of Captain Harlot. There's Park Hooper running about a second and a bit ahead of Jay, Craig, Cobb, John Boy, RJ Dale and the Mutts Nuts. These guys all in a train of cars right now, battling over P6. 8 cars here as they're now coming down the start finish straight once again. You've got Cobb here on the back of John Boy and Craig as well in the sandwich here, as there's John Boy trying to squeeze through, and he gets ahead of Craig there on the exit of Red Gates into Hollywoods they go. Now John Boy's going to try and attack on Cobb if he can, coming down towards the Crane of Curves, but Cobb there's held that one nicely there into the old hairpin, and he still maintains P9 for the time being. Charlie still leads the race by a second and a half over Thoristeer. You've got Mike looking all over the back of Thoristeer, gives maybe a tap there, almost pushes him round, but Thoristeer survives. But he's Mike's now going to have to watch out because Big Blue's on the back of him coming through Coppice. Still nothing doing there between them two though. But we see them all coming through Coppice here one by one. You can see there's the battle for 9th place. Cobb, John Boy, Craig ahead of the Mutts Nuts, RJ Dale and Nick DeVille. The Mutts Nuts is within 8 seconds of the lead right now on a hat trick for tonight. If he can win this 3rd race of the night, what a night it would be if he's able to do that. But Park Hooper there running in P7 right now. There they all are. And there is John Boy trying to attack on Cobb, but still nothing doing there in that battle for 9th place, which Cobb still continues to maintain. But he's having to defend here down the start finish straight. Can John Boy get the run? Oh, bit of contact there between the two of them, as John Boy around the outside of Cobb. Is he going to get that one done? He is. Cobb gives him a bit of a tap there. Oh, in the background there's a collision there. And who was that? I don't know. Actually, don't know. Nobody lost it though, so everybody survived that one by the looks of it. John Boy now starting to pull away a little bit from this pack, as you got RJ Dale getting it a little bit wrong there, coming through the Craners. as Nick's trying to attack on him as well, but Nick the Villa can't get anything done. The Mutsnuts has got ahead of Nick because Nick's got it all wrong coming out of the old hairpin, so Mutsnuts there up into P13. Battle for P7 and 8 still rages on between Park Pooper and Jay. These guys well adrift to the top 6, but they've got about a second back to John Boy, who's actually reeling them in now. So John Boy bringing himself into that fight ever more. Charlie Goff still leads by just over a second. Doris Steers holding on very, very nicely ahead of Mike for second place. There's Team MW and Big Blue, and Captain Harlock is now pulling up onto the back of these guys. So Captain Harlock could be sensing or could be targeting a race win in this final race of the night after not actually the best first couple of races of the night. So it would be a good way to finish it off for him as Mike's up the inside of Doris Steer into turn 1, and Mike Gaming does the move there on Doris Steer up into P2. Nice move there in the Mercedes from Mike, carrying 100 litres. Now he can try and chase down Charlie Goff, but has he got the pace in the Mercedes to go after Charlie's Megane? I don't know if Mike can do it. It would be a very tall order for him indeed if he's able to pull that off. I think it might be a bit too much of an ask for him to win a race in the Mercedes with 100 litres. Doris has actually got back ahead of Mike up into second as they're side by side coming through the middle part of the lap. Can Mike get the cut back here? I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to try it here. He's going to be on the inside up towards Coppice as Doris trying to squeeze him to the inside. Mike's going to go for it. He mows the lawn a bit on the inside. Doris trying to keep it around the outside. I saw somebody go off in the background there, but it looks like everybody's held position. Trying to work out if anybody's lost out here, but nonetheless Doris Steer and Mike very close in towards the final chicane they go. Mike Gaming trying to keep it up the inside. Doris Steer holds his ground, and Mike onto the grass a little bit there in the background. Team MW now will try and seize the initiative here, and we'll get him down the start finish straight, and there is Big Blue as well. So Team MW and Big Blue coming through, and Mike Gaming losing 3 places there because he did have P2 briefly. Captain Harlock's ahead of Jay and John Boy. There's Park Pooper followed by Cobb, the Mutsnuts, Craig ahead of Nick, and there's RJ Dale, and then Aussie running in P15 and Smoky Devil running in P16. Those guys with the damage early on in the race. Mutsnuts is into P11 ahead of Craig. He's within 7 seconds now of the race leaders to Mutsnuts, so he's not a million miles away from making that hat-trick tonight. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing and keep cutting his way through the field. He's made 5 places up so far in this race. But Charlie's still your race leader by 4 seconds right now, ahead of Doris Steer, who's still got heavy pressure right now from Team MW as they're coming up the hill towards Coppice. But Team MW is not close enough to make a move at the moment as they're all fired through the corner there. You see them all coming into shot right now. And what a final race it's been so far. Charlie Goff, though, is checking out the front, and he's looking very good for a win here. DJ Phil saying hello, Andy, and loving watching the racing. Great to see you, Phil. I'm glad that you're enjoying the racing tonight. And also, I don't know if you fancy joining Project Cars 2 leagues again here at Motive, but if you're always welcome if you fancy it. We've got a move going on. Cobb looking, John Boy, looking to the inside of Jay into turn 1. John Boy's made that move up into P7. As in the foreground, you've got Mike losing out here to Captain Harlock. So Captain Harlock moves himself up into P5. They're going through Hollywoods, through the crane as they go. You've got Doris Steer still occupying that second spot ahead of Team MW. Big Blue trying to attack, but Captain Harlock here trying to get on with this. John Boy is now on the back of Mike, and so is Jay. So Mike now getting swamped by these Meganes, which are a lot quicker than his Mercedes. So he's doing a good job of holding his ground right now, but how well is he going to be able to hold it as Captain Harlock has got ahead of Big Blue? Has he got that move done? Is that completed, or is it still going to be a bit of a nip and tuck situation here? Big Blue up the Captain Harlock up the inside of Big Blue as they come out of the out of Coppice down the back straight once again. There's Captain Harlock there. I think he's got that move done. He should have the inside for the chicane and should be able to complete that one onto the brakes. As Captain Harlock gets that done. Big Blue straight on over the gravel. Mike Gaming, bit of a run. Has he got enough of a run? Side by side here down the start finish straight. Mike Gaming should be able to get himself into P5 here into turn 1 if he can go late on the brakes. The Megane quicker in a straight line, but the Mercedes slightly better for the corners. And Mike Gaming there gets the move done beautifully there. Oh, it's John Boy. A bit wrong there in the background there. He's going to lose out to Jay. Jay looking around the outside, coming through Hollywoods. Jay's trying to sneak around the outside here of John Boy. He pokes his nose up the inside and knocks Mike out, of course, a little bit. Mike there just says to Jay, come on, mate, what's all that about? Gives him a shove. Jay onto the grass a little bit, and those two just trading bumps as they really did come together there quite heavily. Who's going to come out on top here? Mike there just ahead of Jay coming up the hill. Jay's going to have to tuck in, I think. No, he's going to go around the outside, but he's not going to do it. He goes wide, he's going to lose out to John Boy as well as Nick, and he stays ahead of Craig. No, Craig gets ahead of him as well, so he loses out to all of them there. I'll tell you one driver who's picked them off here. The Mutts Nuts is now running in P8, so he's sneaked through his pack of cars, and he's now on the back of John Boy as well. So the Mutts Nuts is 8 seconds off for the lead, but he's only 4 seconds off of P2. Can he try and clear this traffic and maybe just charge after the race leader Charlie in the final part of this race? The Mutts Nuts is the one to watch right now on a hat trick here in his final race of the night. Has won the first 2 races of the night. Can he make it 3 from 3 here at Donington? What a job. He's going around the outside here. He's gone around John Boy. Is he going to get around Mike Gaming as well? The Mutts Nuts onto the curve a little bit. He's all over the place. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there between Mike and the Mutts Nuts. He manages to get through it. Mike and John Boy onto the grass. Oh, as Mike there rejoins, Nick rejoins the track very, very aggressively. Where is the Mutts Nuts? He's come out ahead of them, and he's gone very wide there on the exit of the old hairpin, but Nick the middle there tucks in behind. In fact, it was the Mutts Nuts who pushed Nick though, and Mutts Nuts has now got the run up the hill. Nick there loses out, and Mutts Nuts there gets the move done up into P6. Mike Gaming's left the race. Has he disconnected? Is he frustrated with an incident there? I don't know, but Mutts Nuts up into P6, but he's 9 seconds off for the lead here in this race. So can he go after Charlie in the final 8 laps of this race? And Nick is a hat trick here tonight. We'll have to see what a job it would be if he's able to do that. We got Phil saying in the comments, have you seen the new look F1 cars for 2023? I've seen some of the launches. I saw McLaren's, I saw Mercedes. I've watched a couple of them. It's quite. I'm glad that a lot of the teams are actually running paintwork this season. I'll tell you that. We've got Thorstier still staying ahead of Captain Harlock right now as these guys are coming through Hollywoods, but the Mutts Nuts is my man to watch right now. Can he get a 3rd win of the night? He's got 9 seconds to make up over 8 laps. Can he absolutely rag that McGann around? He's got Nick and Craig on the back of him who are going to try and come with him here in the rest of this race, but nonetheless, Charlie Goff looking good. It's looking like it's going to be his race to lose. He's got 5 seconds right now. Thoristier still driving a crack of a race here in 2nd place, but he's got Captain Harlock now really close on the back of him. Team MW's been in this fight for the podium since the beginning as Captain's looking down the inside. It's a cop. It's a bit of contact there. Thoristier is keeping it there, holding his ground around the outside and maintains P2 for the time being. Captain Harlock hasn't got enough for a run down towards the chicane as we got Team MW now weaving around in the background there, all over the place as they come into the final chicane. Still has to tuck in behind him for the time being. Mutts Nuts is now within 8 seconds of the race leader Charlie, so Charlie's had not the best of laps on that last lap. The Mutts Nuts has absolutely flown around. A 109.9 from the Mutts Nuts, a 110 dead from Nick, a low 110 from Craig, so these 3 are coming for the leaders right now. The Thoristier still keeping ahead of Captain, and Captain's lost out to Team MW, so Captain Harlock down to P4, made a bit of a mistake there on the exit of turn 1 and has lost a couple of places as a result. But Mutts Nuts is now closing in on the race leader, but has he got enough laps left to grab his hat trick here tonight? Charlie Goff, I think, should have this done unless he makes a simply monumental error in the final part of this race. Started on pole position, obviously did Charlie. He got into the race later on. He only joined for the final race of the night. He didn't make it for the first 2 races. Thought he wasn't going to make any of the races tonight, but then was able to just get in for the final race, which was nice. But Team MW here is just squeezing ahead of Captain Harlock coming through Coppice. They've got Big Blue on the back of them as well. Is it going to be 3 wide down the back straight here? You can see there Team MW just ahead of Captain Harlock coming down towards the final chicane. Big Blue has to tuck in. He's not in a position to send it. Captain round the outside of Team MW here. And he's going to make that move, and Team MW gets mugged by Big Blue as well. Big Blue might be able to get both of them here. As I tell you what, he's got a great run here on Captain Harlock. Side by side, down the start finish straight they go. Big Blue just squeezing ahead of Captain Harlock into the braking zone, but Captain Harlock's got the inside line. Big Blue trying to hold it around the outside, but Captain Harlock's got that preferred line and gets ahead of Big Blue up into 3rd place. Big Blue now has got to watch out because Team MW is almost pulling alongside him here coming through Hollywoods, but Big Blue keeps on to that 4th place for the time being. But the Mutts Nuts is now arriving on the back of him as the Mutts Nuts has got a bit of a run, and Team MW goes deep coming through the old hairpin. Mutts Nuts seizes his opportunity there and takes P5 in the race, but he is 7 seconds behind with 5 laps left to go. So unless Charlie makes a mistake, I can't see the Mutts Nuts getting his hat trick here tonight. but can he get onto the podium and take 3 podiums in one night? He's really close on the back of Big Blue here as they come into as they come through Coppice Corner here for the 13th time in this race. Just over 5 laps left to go. It's Charlie Goff with a considerable lead over Thoristeer. Thoristeer is still keeping ahead of Captain Harder because he has done for so many laps. Big Blue and the Mutts Nuts right in contention here on the back of these guys. Nick Lavilla there has dropped off with him a little bit. You've got Craig and Team MW as Team MW's dropped a load of places on this lap so far. Cobb just ahead of Park Pooper. Sorry, not just ahead, he's well ahead of Park Pooper. Park Pooper's got Jay and RJ Dale on the back of him. What a nightmare of a final race of the night from Jay. It's not gone to plan at all for him. John Boy down in P13. What has gone on with John Boy in this final race? I've barely noticed what happened to him. Did he have an incident? I don't know, but yeah, John Boy is absolutely nowhere here in this one. Obviously we know that Ozzy and Smokey had their damage on the first lap. We lost Mike due to a disconnection, but Thoristeer still maintaining this second spot at the moment. Captain Harlett very close on the back of him as we're coming through the towards the end of the first sector. You've got a move here being shaped up in the background. The Mutts Nuts has just got ahead of Nick Lavilla up into. Oh, he's already ahead of him, should I say? But the Mutts Nuts here, can he get a P2 here in the final few laps of this race? They're not really closing in on the race here to Charlie Goff very much. In fact, they're losing time to him whilst all these guys battle out. So I think that the treble for tonight maybe is just going to go beyond the Mutts Nuts, but what a performance from him. 2 wins and potentially a podium if he can gain a couple of places here at the end. As captain here has got to run on Thoristeer. Thoristeer got a horrible run out of the chicane. Now the Mutts Nuts is going to try and knock Thoristeer while he's down. Is he going to go down the middle here? Oh, Mutts Nuts there going ambitious, and he's going to look to the inside. Thoristeer is spun out onto the grass, and the Mutts Nuts there was a bit aggressive. I've got to say the Mutts Nuts actually pushes Captain Harlock wide. Thoristeer, oh, you've got to feel for him, because he was in a contention for a podium place and the Mutts Nuts just chopped across him there. That wasn't really necessary. Just a bit of spatial awareness, I think, there. But the Mutts Nuts there nonetheless up into P2. And is he gonna be able to chase down Charlie Goff? That's the question, because 4 laps left in this race. 6 seconds is the gap. He'd have to lap a second and a half, a lap quicker than Charlie Goff if he is to win this race. It's not impossible, but I think it's very unlikely. But Nick trying to attack here on the Mutts Nuts as we're coming down the back straight here. I think the Mutts Nuts would really need a couple of extra laps here in this race, as Nick's looking to the inside here into the final chicane, but nothing doing. But Charlie starting lap 16, lapping in the 111s is Charlie Goff. Mutts Nuts 110.8, not much quicker, but obviously he was making he had to make an overtake and did have a bit of a scuffle into turn 1 as well. Nick just had a Big Blue. There's Captain looking to the inside. Can he get the run here? Oh, contact between Captain Harlock and Big Blue. Both of them just avoiding the barriers by the looks of it, but they're going to lose out here. Nick Lavilla up into 3rd. Cobb here is up into 4th place, and you can see them rejoining the track right into the path of Team MW and Craig. So Captain there losing out to both of them. Big Blue coming out just ahead of Team MW and Craig there. Absolute chaos right there between those two, as they're going to now try and get ahead of Big Blue. Team MW makes the move, so does Captain. But yeah, those two having a bit of a to-do. That gives Nick an easy run to a podium finish here. Gap between Charlie and the Mutts Nuts is 4.5 seconds. So Mutts has been bringing it down over the course of this lap so far. Let's keep an eye on this gap, because it was 6 seconds at the beginning of the previous lap. Let's keep an eye on what Charlie's lap times are doing. It's 1:12. That was a slow lap there from Charlie Goff. Mutts Nuts are 1:09.8. So if Mutts Nuts can continue the pace he's doing, he might be on the back of Charlie Goff by the time we get to the end of this race. Can the Mutts Nuts make it 3 wins from 3 races in one night? I think only Mike Gaming has managed that feat here at Motive in either the Clio Cup or the Touring Cars. Since we switched to the 3-race format, I think Mike Gaming is the only driver who's managed to take 3 wins in one night. He's done it a couple of times, but I think he's the only driver that's done it. Can the Mutts Nuts do it here? Gap is 4 seconds between Charlie and the Mutts Nuts right now. Can we see Mutts Nuts taking a grand slam here tonight? Nonetheless, Nick Lavilla is keeping on the back of him right now. You've got Captain Harlock just ahead of Team MW. Big Blue and Craig still in that fight there in that mid-pack. Oh, it's, we just see there Big Blue's made a mistake. Craig up the inside up into 7th place. No dramas. RJ Dale on the back of Pop, who still as they battle it out over the final top 10 spot. Charlie coming through the final chicane. What is the gap though between Charlie and the Mutsnuts? Charlie a much better lap that last time around, back in the 110s. Mutsnuts 109.9, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think. Charlie, I think, is just going to see the checker flag in the nick of time because he's got 1 lap to go. Mutsnuts lapping an average of about 1.5 seconds a lap quicker, but he's just going to run out of laps, I think, here. But nonetheless, a couple of wins and a 2nd place for the Mutsnuts. You've got to give him credit. What a night he's had here at Donington Park. Charlie Goff has got half a lap left to go here in this race. Captain Harlock's running just ahead of Team MW. The gap's a second between those two. There's Craig on the back of Team MW right now. So that battle's still raging on here. But let's flick to our leader Charlie Goff as he's coming out of Coppice for the final time here in the final race of the night. He jumped in for the final race. He only needs 1 race to get a win on the board, does Charlie Goff. He thinks, right, I'll jump in for the finale, grab the points, grab the P1 on the grid, and ultimately he's going to bring it home for the race winner. Flash the lights from Charlie Goff, and he comes over the line to take the checker flag. A well-deserved win from him. Mutsnuts 2 wins in a 2nd place. What a night from him, bringing himself potentially into the championship picture as well. Nick Lavilla takes 3rd, and Colby comes over in 4th. Captain Harlock P5 out of Team MW 6th. Craig finishes in 7th, Big Blue 8th, Jay in 9th in the end, managed to get ahead of RJ Dale and clear as well, well clear of him. Park Whipper 11th place. John Boy, what a nightmare for our championship leader in this final race, will have lost big points to his championship rival. Storister coming over to take P13 in the end. Aussie Albies coming through in towards the final chicane, and it's going to be a 14th place finish in the end for Aussie Albie. Smoky Devil will be the last to finish as he's just coming up towards the final chicane, but Aussie Albie not the race at all in this final race of the night for him as he comes over 14th place. Smoky P15, Mike Gaving obviously retired due to a disconnection, and that is that for tonight, guys. What a night here for the touring cars at Motive at Donington. Superb racing from everybody. Really enjoyed commentating on that one. That was epic. Charlie Goff, the Mutsnuts, and Nick Lavilla taking your podium places. A massive shout out to the Mutsnuts, without question the driver of the day tonight. Also taking the fastest lap in that final race as well, I think. Yep, fastest lap goes to him. So 2 wins in a 2nd place, and bringing himself, he can't be far off in the championship now. With John Boy not having a great night, I think he's definitely in that fight. But nonetheless, guys, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us live on the Motive Racing channel. If you want to get involved, be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com, join the Discord server, and subscribe and like the video. Thanks everybody once again, and yeah, we will see you in the next one. Join us next week for the touring cars. We'll be live same time as usual, Snetterton on the 300 layout. And we'll also be live for the Clio Cup on Monday night as well. If you're interested in watching our F1 League tomorrow night, we'll be live at 6:30 PM. I can't remember what track we're at, and we'll also be live on Sunday for the ACC PS5 GT3 Championship, which will, pardon me, be at Suzuka. But yeah, gotta go. Cheers everybody, thanks a lot, and we'll see you later. Good night.